boys and girls, welcome to BenchART. I'm for Classic, and let me introduce to you Edge of Eternity, a game developed by Midgar Studio, and it is using Unity engine. And so my objective today it is to check on the performance of the Intel UHD 620 and this game. And looking to the settings, I'm just pretty much playing the game at 720p using the absolutely minimum settings possible with 60% of resolution scaling. So by using these settings, my experience in the early moments of the game, I got an average of 34 with a 1% level of 27, so 15% of the time of the game was lower than 30 frames per second, while if I go with very low settings and if I do use 60% of resolution scaling, well, the entire game will be under 30 frames per second if I do use those settings. So my recommendation is just for you to put the entire settings on the minimum settings possible, 60% of resolution scaling and 720p. So looking to the requirements, the minimum that these guys ask, it is a GTX 970. This is a pretty beefy GPU. Alright, even on the desktop market, it's a very good GPU. So the Intel GPU, it's obviously a no match for that NVIDIA card. So one of the warnings that I have to give you is that when you start the game with the minimum settings, at least on the current version that I'm using, all the textures get glitched out. So I need to start the game with very low preset, and then as soon as I load the game, I need to drop down the settings to the minimum possible so it doesn't bug. Because if I load the save file or if I start the game with the minimum settings possible, it just breaks entirely. So do I recommend the game playing like this on the absolutely minimum settings and need to do these type of tweaks? Absolutely not. So I'm just giving you the information that you can run the game, but I can't really recommend you to play the game like this. This looks like a PS2, PS1 game at these settings. This is not comparable to any other setting that I did try out. If you go and watch my video of the MX130, you will see me complaining how different it looks from my desktop version. My desktop version in here, they have like 15 trees, shadows all over the place, a lot of grass, kind of good definition, enough definition. Alright, the MX130, I was already complaining because a lot of trees were missing, a lot of rocks were missing, a lot of grass were missing. So there was already a huge difference with an NVIDIA MX130, but with an Intel GPU, it feels like I ask advices to the low spec gamer channel to disable all the stuff of the game. Alright, so I don't really think that low spec gamer needs to do a tweak for this game. Because if you put the entire game on minimum, it already looks like low spec gamer have been in here and reduce every kind of stuff. There is still stuff that it could possibly reduce, like disable the shadows of the grass or disable the shadows. I mean, disable the grass entirely, by the way. Why not? Because this looks horrible. And because of that same reason, I don't think that I can't recommend to play the game like this. You can, and if you want, you can. As you can see, you can do it, but this looks seriously awful. Alternatively, you can play at very low with 60% of resolution scaling. It will look much better. Still look bad though, but it will look much better. There is a huge difference between each preset inside the game, and honestly, this minimum setting, it is, whoa, it's just awful. Alright, so enough with that. I think I talked everything that I wanted about the performance. In my opinion, since this is a turn-based game, you are not really forced to have 30 frames per second or above. So if you want to go with the very low preset and use the 60 frames per second, again, the 60% of resolution scaling, and enjoy a better visual style on the game while having frame rates lower than 30, I think why not? Because this game, it is a turn-based game, so you don't really need to have those 30 frames per second, if you ask me. Alright, but now, enough with the performance, let's talk a little bit about the game, shall we? So like I told you, Edge of Eternity, it was developed by Midgar Studio, and the name, it's no coincidence, because Midgar, it is a city of Final Fantasy VII, and there is absolutely no coincidence that the developer team, it is called Midgar Studio, because when Midgar Studio was founded, they wanted to create mainly this game, Edge of Eternity, and the objective with this game, it was to create kind of a very, very inspired game inspired on Final Fantasy, the classic ones, where the combat, it is turn-based, as you saw, and the open world, it is a little bit more actual. Still resembles a little bit of an MMORPG, but still, yes, it is far more actual than the classic open worlds of the Final Fantasies of the 1990s. Alright, so what can I say? I can't say much because I just played like a couple of hours, and this is not enough to review, obviously, an RPG as big as this one. But I can say what I have been reading about the game on Steam. Alright, opinions of people. So, first of all, this game started as a Kickstarter 6 years ago. So, in 2015, 6 years, oh my god. This game have been in early access for 6 years. Most of the people during the early access were kind of satisfied with the game. They were not, you know, outrageously satisfied with the game, but they were kind of, okay, the game is doing a good work, alright? But recently, opinions have been mixed. Some people are enjoying it, some people are not. But the main comments that I've been reading about is that this is not the final version. It is what they claim to be the final version. I mean, Midgar Studio claims this is the final version. But the opinions of the community is that this is not the final version. So if I had to guess, what is happening in here is that they probably did run out of money, or they are running out of money to continue to work on the game the way that they wanted, and they probably wanted to have people buying the game. Alright, and if they did release the game as a final version, they knew that more people would be interested, because some people don't want to buy games in early access, and I fully respect that. I don't buy early access games too, mostly. So, since the game it is released, most of the people start to trust a little bit more on the game, and they usually buy the game, and you get a little bit more visibility because, oh, look, this game is released. Oh, it have been in early access for 6 years, so possibly now it does work fine. Well, it doesn't. That's the issue. Most of the comments on Steam, they are saying that the game it is not ready. There is still lots of issues with balancing. It's not really groundbreaking, and this is not Cyberpunk 2077, alright? But there is still some bugs, and things look a little bit unpolished a lot. And yeah, I think there is still work to do in the game, and possibly the developer team knows exactly that, because they released a patch recently with tons of fixes, and I'm pretty sure they will need to release much more patches. I think they just said that this is the final version and release the final version because they needed money. Although this is just my speculation, but this is usually what early access titles do when they do run out of money. They just release the game in the actual state that it is and hope that more people buy the game in the final state. The game, it is not bad, it's just, it's not released, alright? They say it's final, but it's absolutely not final. I didn't encounter any issues though, but I'm pretty sure that a little bit more forward into the game, I will start to see the cracks and the issues that people have been mentioning on Steam reviews. So, in my opinion, if you are really interested in the game, check first the comments on Steam and also your favorite reviews, websites, YouTubers that you usually follow, and to check their opinions on the game. But people that you know that have been kind of dozens of hours into the game, not people like me that play like 1 or 2 hours and give the opinion about the game. Alright, Final Fantasy, Edge of Eternity, it is a big game, it is an RPG game, so it's not a game that you review playing 2 or 3 hours. Anyway, I just wanted you to know what is this game about, what you can expect from it, how it does perform, and I think my job in here is done. So, hope you keep enjoying the rest of the gameplay. Thank you a lot for watching, and I do hope to see you soon. Goodbye.